Hello, and welcome to our FilmSoc podcast. And today we are going to rank the Infinity Saga. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves with the first MCU film that they watched. So mine was The Avengers.
I think mine was Iron Man, and I'm Hattie.
I think mine was Captain America: The First Avenger, which isn't fun to start off with.
So my name's Jerry. I think my first one is actually Iron Man with my granddad. It's the first film he didn't fall asleep, so that's a certified good for him.
Yeah. My name is Alex, and mine was Iron Man, the first one as well.
Cool. I should have said that my name is Peter. That's pretty bad for me as a host. And yeah, so today we are going to go through them in descending order. So what's going to happen is we're just going to go around clockwise, and we're going to list our bottom five, then the next five below that, until we get to the last three. And then when we get to the last three, we're just going to go all around and say our third favorite, our second favorite, and then our first favorite. And then maybe at some point we'll try to get some definitive group ranking that won't make any sense at all. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm just going to kick things off. So my bottom five are Doctor Strange, Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, and For the Dark World. So Doctor Strange and Iron Man 2 I think are actually kind of interchangeable. They're the only two films that I really, really dislike in the franchise. I think Doctor Strange is the most boring film I've ever seen. He doesn't have a character arc. He's an asshole at the start and he's an asshole at the end. I feel like he's learned nothing. They whitewashed the Ancient One because they decided that having an old Asian man was racist, but having a southern upper class English woman wasn't. Yeah, Doctor Strange just really at the bomb. I think what really annoyed me was I was really excited for, like, the MCU films aren't as exciting visually, and I think that was sort of the promise that was being made in the trailers. And then when I watched it, I just really didn't think the magic looked all that great. Like, you were expecting something a bit more whimsical, like Harry Potter, or like there's just a bit more style to the VFX, but a lot of it was just the circles, so it was all just this one color, these little sparks, like I have like a little firework or whatever. And just didn't really deliver except for the opening sequence. The opening sequence is actually pretty good, where it's a little bit more Inception-y and a little bit darker, and then for me it just went downhill after that. Iron Man 2, oh my god. It has the worst villain in the MCU. I'm sorry, but it's just really bad. I think the guy with the wire whip sort of thing that hates cars. That's the only sort of thing I
He doesn't hate Iron Man, he hates cars.
Yeah, do you remember it's like on the track and he just like whips? It's like that sequence really stands out to me in that film. It was sort of this one was like, I just have to get through this so that I can say I've seen it. And just Black Widow, it's such an awful introduction to her character. She's just far too sexualized. Her fight sequences at the end aren't even really that well shot. Like, it's so focused on the male gaze on her that it's like, it's not even about the action, like her being a badass. It's really just like, oh, she's kind of hot in this lycra, isn't she? No, I just don't think it's very good at all, which is strange because I actually like put the other Iron Man films quite a bit ahead of it. Thor and Thor the Dark World, I think, oh sorry, I missed Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I mean, what can you really say about it? These next three are sort of like, I don't hate them, but I think they're probably like the dullest films in the franchise. This was back when Edward Norton was still the Hulk, which is weird to think about, and I think a lot of people think of this as non-canonical, really, at this stage. Like, people just forget that's part of the MCU. Thor, I don't think Kenneth Branagh's a great director. I think he's a great actor, but I think, oh, here we go. Right,
No,
look at
no,
this.
no,
Jerry.
go first. Go first.
I just don't think he really has a style. You know, it's sort of like, it's one of these films that's like, it's competently made, but it's because Kenneth Branagh's such a stage director, it feels sort of a bit more like a stage production of Thor. I thought the climax with the robot was kind of weird. It's one of the things I could never really compromise with Thor. Like, I got the idea of sort of like, oh, it's technology, but it's magic, and science is really just a higher form of magic. But I thought the robot angle was a really, I don't know, I was a bit dull. I much rather them like get closer to the Norse mythology. So I thought it was a wee bit of a cop-out, really, of the Thor character, the Thor mythos. And then Dark World I actually put ahead of it. I thought Dark World was better, but the climax was also quite disappointing. But I think it tried to do something with all the teleportation. Like, it was a lot more interesting. And I really loved the Dark Elf masks. I thought that was really cool. I think it had a bit more style to it, and it was getting closer to sort of like fully realizing Asgard and the whole mythology around it. I think the Earth subplots weren't amazing. They actually sort of like detracted. Like, so I think especially since you go so far like along in the film without seeing the Earth subplot, and then it's just one scene, and then you just like move back onto Asgard. It's actually kind of it takes you out of it, actually. So yeah, those are my bottom 5. Hattie?
Sort of similar, I guess. So I've got The Incredible Hulk, Avengers Age of Ultron, Iron Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 3 for me. Ant-Man and the Wasp, no. Hope didn't have enough to do. I rewatched Ant-Man last night, and the end scene where she gets the suit, Mr. Pym's like, this is for you, we're working on it for you. And I'm like, yes, female superheroes. And then it was just like, and I don't know why she didn't have more to do in the first film, but anyway. Age of Ultron, just the robot singing I've Got No Strings on Me was bizarre. I don't really get that. It didn't make much sense. Iron Man 2, again, bit of a flop. I don't hate any MCU films, but those ones I've always had a strong dislike towards. It's just grown over the years. But yeah, that's mine.
Cool. George?
I've got For the Dark World, 4, Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. When the MCU first started, I hated 4 like so much. It was just this dumb buff guy who just wasn't the Hulk. It was just boring. And, like, For the Dark World was just no. There was no fun. There was no like fun action scenes. The villain was, well, awful, and it's just I didn't enjoy it. And the only good bit about it was Loki, and then he like died halfway. Same with 4. It's just like, let's get this really OP character and then just make him only rely on his personality, which is already really bad because he just removed his powers for the entire movie. Incredible Hulk, yeah, not really much happens there. Iron Man 2, it's definitely one of the weakest because just nothing happens really, and it's just whips. I did like was it Hammer? He was good in it, the weapons dealer. I liked him. Yeah, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's just a stepping stone between. It's basically setting up the plot of Endgame. That's the entire movie. Yeah, that's my 5.
Jerry?
So before I start my ranking, I just want to say, I don't hate any individual Marvel films. I just hate it as a cinematic universe. I just hate the whole corporate thing. Like, no offense to any of the individual film, they are all the same. That's why it was so hard ranking them for me, because I was like, I don't remember any of these films, last 5 films. So it's not dislike. I don't dislike them. I watched all of them, but some of them are more memorable, and that's probably my issue with it mainly. Like, for example, I don't like that MCU has no sense of place. Like, it doesn't have an identity about where it is. What it's called a Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yet a lot of locations it has, it's quite forgettable. And that's like, you know, I'm not saying it needs to be like super vibrant all the time, but at least it needs to have something. Like, to me, like the Phase 1 Marvel films at least have that. You know, I'm gonna name the 5 bottom ones, but you know, I don't really hate them. I probably like them as much as some other stuff, but it's just so. The first out of the gate will be probably controversial.
Go for it.
I don't know. The bottom one is Captain Marvel, and Thor 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 2, Far From Home.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna go through it. I think Captain Marvel was, by all means, a film that lasted 2 hours or so. I don't know, and some Avengers tie-in happens, and I don't hate Brie Larson in it. She's a pretty good actress. You know, I just didn't mind the story. I just didn't care any of it. You know, I can barely remember what happens in the film. I just remember there was 2 hours, and it's not a Tony Stark. It's about a person being really egotistical at firstly, and then becoming less so, and then becomes more friendly and more of a human. So Tony Stark, basically. And I was like, oh, yeah. And I'm gonna quiz you guys on this. Don't look at your film. Who are the directors of Captain Marvel?
Well, I noticed 2 of them. One's a guy, one's a girl.
Is one of them called Anna, I think?
Also, yeah, one of them is called Anna.
Oh, this is bad.
I can't remember the guy.
I was going to
Exactly.
say Kate Shortland, but I think that's the
Exactly.
Black Widow director.
I should know this because I love this film.
That's what I'm saying. That like, it's like they are both indie directors. I don't remember their names, and I heard they did really good work before they did Captain Marvel, and yet when they are directing the film, like Marvel, yeah, they gave them some credits on their screenplay, but mainly they just let second unit directors do the work, and that's why that's my bottom film, because like that's the one that feels the most for me, most like that. And like I remember there was a story by like Patty Jenkins. She said she was like trying to be Marvel was trying to recruit her to direct the second Thor film, and she refused because she think, oh, what Marvel said to her is basically, don't worry about action, don't worry about anything. Our second unit director is gonna get it done by you. So it's not even directed by her. It's just there was a existing Marvel unit that would do action. That's why all the action films and action parts in Marvel feel so irreplaceable, and that's what I felt. But I don't hate the film. I'm not like a person that will go, oh, Captain Marvel ruins everything. I was like, who cares? Why do if you really hate the film that much, why do you spend 90% of the time talking about Captain Marvel? Like, it's like a stalker thing, right? Like, oh my God, I'm just gonna stalk this film to the end of time. Like, I don't care. Like, people like the film, so what? You know, I hate Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I don't hate the individual films because the actors did nothing wrong, the directors did nothing wrong. I probably hate the executives. I probably hate the hype over it, but it's nothing personal for the films. I just want to make that clear. I'm gonna do hate mongering on Marvel films, but not because of it's so woke. It's so woke. It got broke or something, some crap like that. Like, so sorry for swearing, Peter. You have
No, it's fine. This is PG-13.
So on top of that, the second one was Thor 2. Thor 2 was, quite forgettable for obvious reason. You even got the Game of Thrones guy to direct it, I think, and it still looks so bland. No wonder Game of Thrones finale sucked. He was involved as well. So, and he also directed Terminator Genesis. I don't remember his name, Taylor something. And like he's like the king of like forgettable high budget Marvel, not high budget like blockbuster films at this point, I guess. Like, Yeah, it's nothing stand out. I watched. It was during a time when I was still reeling from the hype of Avengers films. I think, like the first Avengers film, and I was at a town where there's nothing, no entertainment. There's only a theater, a small audience theater. So I went to watch it a couple times. I was like, oh, and I think it was before or after Captain America: Winter Soldier. So it's probably before. So I was like, oh yeah, I want to keep rewatching it. So I'll get something new or something. But it's just bland, yeah. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, you guys probably said it better than me. So yeah, Iron Man 2. I don't hate Iron Man 2. It's actually, I think it actually has the one of the most memorable location and action scenes, at least. Not memorable. I mean, like, you remember the Monte Carlo? You remember that's probably about it. Monte Carlo, the one where he meets Elon Musk and got whipped by some old dude, Mickey Rourke, I think. And yeah, at least that was memorable. And there's the whole expo thing that was pretty cool. I like the idea of it. It connects to what's the film? Captain America, the first Captain America. It's quite retro, it brings in the idea of tech companies. I like that, but the story just not there. Jon Favreau missed so badly. I actually feel bad for him. But also it was part of the reason it was like that is because Marvel also forced him to put in so much stuff. I don't think Black Widow was supposed to be in the film, but same as Age of Ultron, like people up there forced him to put stuff in the film that he wasn't sure it should be in that. And then Far From Home, I think Far From Home, I like it the first time I watched it, but like they didn't really do anything with the character. Like I like the whole twist and stuff like that, but the backhand of it just feels so little like a Spider-Man film. It's like I said, it becomes a Tony Stark Iron Man film. Even when he died, it's still an Iron Man film, which is like, I think does a disservice to the whole Spider-Man mythology. And also someone pointed out recently, they say like what MCU, the most sort of misogynistic thing MCU has done is turn Aunt May into a sex object, because her only character in the MCU film so far is men likes him. Every man flirts with her. And I was like, why do you get like Marisa Tomei, a really good actress, to do a hot aunt character? They turn an old aunt who was an inspiring figure. I'm not saying it's better. It's just a trope, I think, into a sexy lady was just like the only reason she exists because she has sex appeal. So that's the end of my rant for the first 5 films. Hopefully I didn't piss off too many people.
Oh no, you didn't disappoint. This is shaping up quite nicely. Alex, you want to keep the ball rolling?
Yeah, I think probably my favorite ones are going to be more controversial because most of the ones that I have listed were already named. First of all, Thor 1 and 2, so Dark World, I'm sorry. I found them, listen, it was very hard for me because I love all MCU movies just because of sentimental value. That's why it's so hard for me to be objective. But Thor 1 and 2, I just found them very slow, very shallow, very superficial. Just as Iron Man 2, which is also on the list. I have little to add to that. I think George made really good points when talking about them. Captain Marvel. I went to see the movie with Jerry, and I came out very, very happy because, oh yeah, we have, a strong woman lead, and it's not very focused on like her sexuality or her sex appeal like Black Widow was, I guess, or Wanda. But then after a few weeks and thinking about it, and then after Endgame, I just the movie was so bizarre, and the portrayal of her, and just Riot Girl is not a synonym for feminism. It's just there were so many little things that amounted to it being very not good, I guess. Other than that, I found it entertaining, but there were just little things that accumulated into it being on the list, I guess, of my list favorites. I still like it. I like it. But, and then Age of Ultron and Civil War. Civil War, I put them together because they're sort of like the same for me, and that's why I don't like them. It's the same concept, but very poorly done, and it's twicely done. In Civil War, the conflict between Iron Man and Captain America was very, very stupid. It could have been resolved in like 5 minutes if both of the characters were to talk about it. Just without the whole movie is unnecessary, because the conflict that they put forward is so easily solved, or could be so easily resolved, that, you know, there isn't a war necessary. It's pointless, in my opinion, I guess. Again, it shouldn't have been a Captain America. It should have been an Avengers movie, I think. That's a very popular opinion. I might be wrong, but and then Age of Ultron, same thing. I thought it was a very poor introduction of Wanda and the twins.
Quicksilver.
Sorry?
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Wanda's friend.
I think X-Men did a better introduction of Quicksilver than Age of Ultron, and same with Vision. I think it was good to set the scene for the Infinity Stones and how they work, and I also like the scientific side of it, like how they play with Jarvis and the interactions between Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo, Iron Man and the Hulk, Dr. Banner. Sorry, names just have flown away from my mind. But then again, I thought it was the same concept as Civil War, but slower, and it was just, there was a lack of something that, I don't know, I was missing the spark of it, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Right, so next 5.